Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ron Spikes. I'm just talking from a different perspective today as I come into this media. I'm happy to be here. I'm enjoying, sometimes you have a conversation with a person and it puts you in another area. It puts you somewhere where you just need to stop where you're at and go back and kind of reflect. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect out there between older Black Americans and younger Black Americans. And it doesn't matter what you talk about. It doesn't matter what the subject is. But we have to admit sometimes that we're wrong. And sometimes we have to let a younger person make it, because some of the stuff that they say is tied to facts, and some of the stuff that they say is not tied. Today, I was fortunate enough to sit down and have a conversation with a group of men. And you always hear me in my old blog talk radio show. You used to always hear me talk about the barbershop, the beauty shop. Sometimes when you're in those places, you hear conversations that you never heard before. Sometimes when you're sitting in those places, you hear the conversation drift back and forth, going to a different direction. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It means that it's something that we as people, if we want to grow together as people, we got to learn how to have those hard conversations. And some of the things that we talked about today was college sports. And as we talking about college sports, and I know I got a whole nother agenda and what my show is about, but I need to get this out because it's something that we need to touch bases on. It's something that we as a group of Black people need to understand. The younger generation has a different conversation than the one that we do. I had two young men that I was talking to. One, me and another guy got into it. And he basically told me, I believe in conspiracy theories instead of fact. You know, I have no problem with that. That's the way he feels. He's entitled to his argument. One of the other gentlemen told me that we don't want to look back on the past. We're all about going forward. You know, as I got a chance to digress that, and as I was getting on this air, sometimes stuff hits you a different way. And I'm supposed to be talking about getting degrees you choose today shapes your tomorrow. But I want to pause right here because you know me, I can't, it's not going to settle with me until I get it off my chest. So as we had this discussion today, like I said, we jumped all over. And then in the end, I think the young man got frustrated with me and he just back down and sit there. But here's the thing that you got to be able to do as a people. You got to be able to realize that, no, we ain't gonna all agree. And sometimes the facts that align with you are not the facts that align with me, because I come from a different era. I understand the struggle. I understand where we came from, but I can't keep bringing you back into my struggle, asking you to understand your situation. See, the where we started was a quarterback that had got caught gambling. Where we ended up was a life lesson that we need to understand on both sides. It's two sides of a story. No two people were brought up in the same era. But what we need to do as older people is understand the argument that they're saying, because they're saying that we didn't necessarily go through that same stuff that your parents did. We went through different stuff. And what they came up in was probably a total different environment than what my parents was. See, my parents were blue collar parents. And when I say blue collar parents, they worked for everything that they got. My mother stood and let me just share this with you, because you need to know this about me if you're going to continue to listen to me. See, my father was in the service. We traveled. My father made his living in the service. When they got to a point where we couldn't travel, he wanted us to have a place to stay, but he still needed to complete his assignment and go to the end till he got to where he was, where he could sustain his family. He made sacrifices for us to be here in Houston while he traveled and went on duty assignments all over the world. See, I met my father across the ocean. He was stationed in Stuttgart, and I was stationed in, let me see, where was I stationed at that time? I was stationed in Wiesbaden. Both of us just happened to be in the service at the same time. Military men don't make that much, so don't get that idea that we were at the top of the list there. We did have a few things more than other people. We had a steady income coming in, and we had a check that paid the bills. So some of the things that other people felt, I didn't feel. As a matter of fact, my younger cousins had to remind me, because I was talking to them and I was telling them about the hard times that I grew up in. And they said, "Oh no, Ronnie, you don't know what hard times are." And one of the things that they say was, "Ronnie, your parents were still together. Our parents were separated. We were going from household to household, Peter to Paul, and everything else. And you sit there and you talk about what you came through, and I had to identify with that." This young man today took me back to when my cousins got me a reality check. So I came from being poor, but it was a consistency that probably everybody else didn't have that was there. See, my mother stood in the cafeteria. She went to work at 4:00 in the morning preparing foods at MB Smiley. She worked until she almost died. When she got sick is when she ended up giving up the job. My mother worked that long at the schools. We didn't come from necessarily an environment where we were, let me just say, poor, but we came from an environment where we knew what the dollar meant and the sacrifices that people made to get us there. So we went on in this conversation. Me and this young man had a great conversation. And it kind of ties to what we're saying today, but it's not just, you have to understand when you have life kick in, sometimes it's going to affect you. So I sit there and we had this discussion and we went on, we got to talking about the president. He got to talking about Ronald Reagan. He said that Ronald Reagan was the problem with the flow of money into the community to pay for the drugs coming into the community. Me, on the other hand, I was saying, as Black people, we got to hold ourselves at a higher standard because it looks good, because it feels good. We got to understand that we're doing damage to our own. Now, I'm talking to Black people because I'm sitting in my own space. I'm sitting in your space today because if you're listening to me, I'm in your space. Yeah, I agree. You know what? We got to hold ourselves at the same standard that we expect somebody else to be on. Because if you can't hold yourself at a higher standard, you're going to destroy your own community and say, "Oh, it's all right because, I can't help because those people couldn't pay their bills. They had to go through another means." At what cost? I'm going to say this again. At what cost? At what cost? At what cost do we not honor our own? Do we not take care of our own? No, nobody in the community was able to fly them ships, fly them airplanes, and go over there and create those drug deals and bring them back to the community and offer opportunity for a poor Black person, young lady, young man, or whatever, to go out and destroy their people. No, they didn't. And I agree with the young man. The part of the Reagan, what Reagan did during his term, and what Ali North doing during their term, they're responsible for all the drugs from the East Coast to the West Coast. I agree with you. But here's the turn, and I sit there and I listen. Here's the turn that I will say. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard than what we expect somebody else. Because every time that we point that finger at them, the thumb is always pointing back at us. See, at some point, somebody has to look at that corner, or somebody has to look at what they're doing to their society and take that responsibility too. Because if you see the damage that you're doing and you think it's funny while you're doing it, and you think it's putting money in your pocket while you're doing it, and then you see the damage that you did to the community as a whole, and then you want to hold somebody else accountable for what happened, can't be true. You can't have that. You can't have that. And in the end, this is where we ended up. He made a lot of good points. I've never seen anybody that's had that conviction as he did. I've never seen a young person to have, because everything that I brought up, he was able to counter it with something else. And he was able to tell me, no, you're missing a point. No, you. And he backed it up with legitimate arguments. At times he had me wondering what am I talking about? Where are we going in this conversation? But I respected him. And just like I tell you on Tuesday nights, me and Pastor Riggins go left, right, and we get in the middle of it. But here's the thing that we do in the end. We go to each other and we look each other in the eye, and we reach out and we say, hey, bro, we may not agree. We may not agree. Your discussion might have been stronger than mine, but I have to look that person in the eye and tell them, we may not agree, and I understand. That's how you have a discussion as grown men. Let me tell you, grown black men. And let me tell you the example, because he could have got offended, and if he was one of those other kind of people, oh no, he would have figured that he had to go get his gun to prove his point. And it could have been a discussion where we was having there, where one of us got mad at the other one over something that was simply said that we could shake hands on. That's where the bigger picture comes in. That's where the bigger perspective comes in. You don't have to go out your way to make sure that you're the bigger man. If somebody bump into you, or if somebody touch you, or somebody do something wrong to you, and they ain't constantly doing it to you, you have to walk away. Fight that fight another day. You can have discussions on the block, wherever you are, and even if you're sitting on the corner stoop and y'all get into a disagreement, in 2 or 3 days, y'all both gonna be back in the same spot. And you might not still agree. But don't ever let the conversation end with one person walking away and the other person upset, because the very next time that they come back to that same spot or wherever you at, they're going to be angry. Sometimes and when I go back in the barbershop the next time, I'm going to look at that young man and smile and say, man, we sure got into it last time. He probably going to look at me the same way. But that's what it's about. If we can't have the discussion, and I can't understand your side, and I can't get there with you, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But I don't want to go back to football, but I do want to correct the situation, because I don't like leaving stuff out there on the line. So if he's listening in right now, I just want to tell him, when you was talking about Big Meech and Ronald Reagan, you had that wrong. Because Big Meech wasn't in that part with Ronald Reagan. The person that was in there with Ronald Reagan when they were selling drugs was Freeway Rick Ross. That was the contraband era. Meech wasn't even a part of that. Just thought I'd sneak that in. You know how we had that discussion? And I don't have to hear it. I can tell you right now. So when I came home, you know what I did? I got on my GPTs and I was like, man, wait a minute. There's something wrong about what he said. The timing. It was freeway Rick Ross during the Reagan era that was tied up in the drugs that was coming into our community. Big Meech and them didn't come in until later, and they basically just did it because it wasn't because of the situation. It was because they just saw a way to make money. And you said it yourself. I ain't gonna get mad at nobody that just see a way to make money, but look at the damage that's left out there from what they did. The bigger problem, the bigger picture here is this. I get on these airwaves and I made it a decision within myself to talk to real black people. This is what this is about, real black people. Because if you don't have a conversation, you can't get past where you're at. And as we constantly talking about getting people to the polls and vote, the reason why we talk about the past is to help you understand the reason why you should vote so we don't repeat the cycle. It only takes one vote for you to have a voice. One vote. And that's what this is about. And if you tune in on our Tuesday shows, we go more into that there. But today, I just want to make sure that young man knew that I respected him to the utmost. I respected how he stood on principles. I respected what he did. He didn't have to do that. And in the end, he did something that just had to make me laugh because I got to tell the story. I was in a barbershop, not this particular barbershop, but one that I used to attend. And I was sitting there and some young man say, school. I was a lot younger than I am. He say, school. And I'm looking around for this dude called School. I didn't know who School was. So finally the barber, he say, you know what, Ron, he talking about you, man. I say, everybody in the barbershop laughing by now because they didn't see me looking around and everything else. Everybody in the barbershop laughing. And that was one of the terms that he used today. And I almost busted out laughing when he said it. But I just want to tell you something that y'all on a different wavelength when y'all communicate with us. But to bundle it up, get a good idea where you came from. Get a good idea when you talk to young people that's younger than you, like you said you was younger than me. Spread the knowledge of them doing better than what you had. Spread the knowledge of them having more. Spread the knowledge of them respecting themselves to know that when they roll their coins together and they get on these ships going across whatever other country that they're in, that they can take a bump or two because they worked hard for their money. They can take somebody saying, excuse me, you don't elevate yourself beyond people, you elevate yourself with people, because if you rolled together your last quarters to take that trip, why let them mess it up? Why let them mess it up? You're on vacation and enjoy yourself. It ain't that much pride in the world. Then you get left out there on the side of the dock. Somebody filming you, and then they turn it in, and then it's a YouTube video and all the rest of this. And all the time you suffering. Yeah, I jumped to that one because that's where my mind went. And that's what you told me. You jump so much. But this world, if it's going to get better, we're going to have to do better. Older people and young people. We're going to have to allow y'all to have the voice that you want. And as the other young man said, he don't want to go back. He just want to go forward. Can't go forward unless you build a foundation. You have to have a foundation to put the wood on, to put the piping in, to put the electrical, to put a roof on top of that foundation, and then surround it in with bricks. If you don't know how to do all that stuff, your foundation going to be built on sand. All that stuff is gonna come down. And we as black people, as people my age, we had a good foundation. But we see it crumbling around us every single minute. That foundation that we had is no longer there. And I blame it on church. I blame it on religion. Let me just say this. I blame it on religion, not church, because churches can change. Churches can evolve. Religion gonna get you stuck in a pattern. I gotta leave that there. Hey man, I enjoyed the conversation. If you're listening in, give yourself some dap, pat your chest, and be the person that you are. And next time I come in that barbershop, I'm gonna walk straight to you and shake your hand and look at you and say, hey man, what we gonna talk about today? But we ain't gonna take it that far. Have a good day, man. I gotta get back into this show. Told you I was gonna do it. You know, family, let me talk to the parents for a moment. Because before we send our kids into a world with tens of thousands of dollars and we're in debt, we need to ask ourselves one question. Is the educational path that we're preparing them for to enter the economy that we're putting them into, is that the right degree that's going to sustain them for life? Just because the student graduates from high school, and I'm going to elaborate on this part because I need to. Just because a student graduates from high school and takes significant challenges in life, are their parents, I'm going to say this, I need to say it my way. Your child graduating from high school shouldn't put you in debt, paying credit card debt for 2 or 3 years just for one night. I'm going to do a show on that. Just for one night. The car that you let them drive to the prom for 3 or 4 hours shouldn't be more than every house that's on your block. Shouldn't cost more than every house that's on your block for that one night. Because 2 or 3 months later, the bill collector's gonna call. And not even that. What if you could do it? But that bill is so high that you're still paying it on next year. And you got another child that's coming behind them that's getting ready to graduate then. I'm going to let that settle in. You going back in debt for high school? For the prom that you never had? I got to go. I got to move on. He told me I jump around too much, but that hit me hard, and I'm doing a show on that too. First, I didn't want to do it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. You know, because they graduate from high school, does that not mean that they're ready for college? If a student is struggling to stay focused in high school, maybe the next step is a semester in a community college. A certified program where they get maybe a trade or something like that. That young man today was a barber. It was something that he sacrificed to do. I don't know what he did in college. I don't know what road or what path that he was on before then. But I know that he has a way to take care of his family if he has one, or to put food on the table where he's at right now. See, we've been telling our kids this story. If you don't go to college, you ain't gonna amount to nothing. I think we did our kids a disservice when we told them that. Because everybody's not college material. Not saying that college is the answer to all, but everybody's not college material. You know, I'm going to say this. The goal is not to get the diploma. The goal is to build a life with what you get from the diploma, how you present it, how you put it out there, what you use it to go to. When I was growing up, young man, trades were taught in school because they knew at that point that you wasn't college material. Your grades didn't reflect it. But they had those trades like barbers, hairdressers, AC men, electrical, And they even in high school, they were showing those kids, and it wasn't even us. I wanted to get in that class so bad they wouldn't. They said, "No, you can't get in that." But then I started looking at the people that was in it in junior high school. They were the ones that couldn't go on to the next class, that couldn't make it in life, that they knew that they wasn't going to pass on, but they were still stuck in that grade of junior high school. So they was teaching them a trade in that class. And I should have looked at the kids that was there because they was a lot older than us. See, we used to care about our community at one time. Our schools used to support our community because here's the deal. If I don't give you something to grow from, if I don't put something in your hand, if I don't do those things, eventually you're going to be out there on the street. And when you're out there on the street, what's next? You still got to eat. You still got to feed yourself. And if you can't get it the normal way, what do you revert back to? By any means necessary. So that means that if because I didn't give you enough to go with, that means that now I'm a victim of your circumstances. Let that sink in. I'm a victim of your circumstances. But here long term. Now I'm gonna jump back on here because I get sidetracked. I'm sorry. Students used to graduate with skills, tools, a pathway to earn money. Now we done left them out there, they can't earn money. And the next thing that's coming in that same big cycle, I told you things have a way of repeating themselves. We sending them to these schools, and some of the degrees that they have that they're studying for won't be available. 5 to 10 years, AI is taking over everything, even the jobs that I had. And I had a pretty good job. I had a pretty good job when I retired. So I'm just telling you, sometimes today we need to learn, we need to bring back that mindset back where electricians are needed, HVAC, AC people are needed, plumbers are needed, builders are needed. Those careers provide incomes and stabilities, haircuts, barbershops, where that young man was at today. It provided an income. And I heard my barber say that his mother was doing women's hair when he was growing up. He's a barber. That's a trade. He can feed his family from that. We gotta, I don't know who put that rumor into the community that you have to have a college degree in order to survive. And that was the biggest setback for our whole generation of people. You left people out there that they went to college. Guess what? They went to college, and guess what? I'm gonna say it again. Guess what? And they got in debt. They didn't have the grades to go there in the beginning. They got in debt. They got their parents in debt. And they walked out after the first year. Some of them was on full scholarships and just walked out, hung out on campus. You seen them. You seen them hanging around the places where you eat, being the coolest person out there. But that next year when you became a sophomore, they wasn't there. They wasn't there. Just saying, you have to look at life as a whole, not as just for the moment. To look at life as a whole, and that's what I'm trying to get you to do. Look at life as a whole, and I'm trying to help my Black people understand because they already know it. They know it. They're changing their kids' pathways to get better while we're still trying to send our kids out to failures. I'm sorry. I love my people so much that I have to jump into it. Meanwhile, we are underrepresented in careers like engineering, computer engineering, science, mathematics, high-paying STEM fields. I said it last night on one of my comments on on my YouTube. He say stem cells, say stem fields. We're not putting we're not putting our kids in those environments. This mismatch is dangerous. Degrees, we need to reevaluate some of those degrees. And here are 25 degrees that Black students should reevaluate in this AI era. And I'm gonna bring it up because I'm gonna talk to you from a point where I'm not the main occupant. I need to make this the whole screen because I can still talk while I'm doing this. It's 25 degrees out there that Black students should avoid in this AI era. And within the next 5 to 10 years, they're probably going to be all but gone. One of them is business administration. If it ain't no people there to schedule, if AI has already got all the financing roles, if AI has basically replaced you, why are you going out to get a business administration degree that you know the AI is going to replace you? Software is going to replace you. Computers going to replace you. AI automates administration, reporting, scheduling, can do analysis. So why would you set off into a degree like that? I'm breaking this down today because we need to understand. Criminal justice is replacing AI. Criminal justice degrees. AI is replacing them. Dispatching, I'm talking about this part of it. Dispatching, report writing, surveillance, case analysis, and policing careers. Policing jobs are shrinking across America. It's because AI is taking on a lot of responsibility where you could have less of a police force. Not depreciate the police force, but I'm just saying you can have less people if you can take away some of the jobs that you're requiring them to do. Criminal justice, liberal arts and general study, low jobs, specificity, and high automation risk. But that means that job that degree doesn't specialize in anything. It's just a degree that's out there, liberal arts and general studies. Go be a school teacher. Go do whatever you want to do with it if they accept you. But if they accept you and you can't pass the test, what purpose has that served? A degree hanging on your wall. Communications. What I'm doing right now. If you remember before as I talk right now, in the medium that I'm talking to, in the medium that I'm speaking with you with, communications, it was a thing called a newspaper that hit the community. For years, Black people's communication came through a source called the Ford Times here in Houston. I'm sure it was called something else in every major city across America, but you don't see that item out there no more. It's not important. At that time it was. We got social media. News comes just like this. Just like that guy told me, I'm going forward. I don't want to look backward. That's basically what he's saying. I don't want to pick up no newspaper. But here's the thing that gets us. The other side of society is saying that if you want to set them up for failure, write it down in a book. They're not going to open it. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to read it. I'll let that sink in. Press releases, social posts, scripts, marketing, copying, and all that entry-level roles are disappearing in those communication fields. Look around you. Black radio stations are disappearing around you. Very few have relevance now. They can do it through a computer. You get on social media, you get on Facebook, you get on all these social medias, and you get your news from it. That was one of the conversations that we had, but I ain't gonna digress. I'm gonna keep going. Gotta keep going, bro. Gotta keep going, gotta keep going, gotta keep going, or else I'm gonna fall back in that trap. Marketing, traditional marketing. AI now does ad targeting, campaign design, content creation, analytics, and can reach out to how many people? By email, message, text messaging. As you're looking at Facebook, if you notice Facebook has started to change. When you go into those little things that you used to go into ad free, it ain't ad free no more. When you listen to YouTube videos, they're not ad free no more. They put those ads right where you at. They telling you that you own those things, communicating. So that's where we gonna put our advertising dollars. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm sitting. What did it say? I'm sitting in your space. I'm trying to educate you a little bit. Human services. AI is handling case notes. AI is handling intake. AI is handling scheduling. AI is handling resource matching. Basically, what they're doing is they're doing all the simple work. The only thing that they need you to do after they get all that in place, they're gonna send you on give you a piece of paper and tell you to take those kids from point A to point B. If you're in a job, they're gonna give you a piece of paper or whatever. Even if it's paper, or send you an email because they're making you create emails in your job or take texts, and then they're gonna have you sign for it. Then when you can't do it or you mess it up, they're gonna already have a packet compiled in place to give you just your thing to walk out the door. No negotiation. This is just straightforward. We gave you a task. We told you where to go. We told you how many to do. We told you to follow this path, and it's already in stone. What do you have to talk about? Just saying. A social worker at a bachelor's level. AI is replacing the paperwork in case management, and licensed clinical roles remain strong. I'm just sharing this information with you so you can prepare your kids for something that's going to help them. It's another list on the other side to prepare your kids. Pay attention to the list that's up there, and we're going to talk about that. We may not break it down as much, but I need you to understand. I'm gonna jump around in this. Medical billing and coding. At one time, a person could go get a medical billing and coding degree just by going to San Jack College, a junior college, and get understanding what the codes is. That's going away. Paralegal studies. All that motions and briefs and contracts and discovery and law firms that are cutting paralegal staff. It's the reason why they're doing it. You could take a contract, if you got the right software that can read that contract, can break it down and analyze everything that was good and everything that was bad by computer. Well, you used to have a person sitting in there for maybe 10 hours on a 25-page contract and then come back and give you a report so you can know what was right and what was wrong and what affected you. You don't have that no more. You don't have to do that. You could sit there and talk just like I'm talking, and it'll type out what you say word for word, and then go back and reanalyze it and put it in proper grammar and spelling. No typewriting, no computer keys or nothing like that. No need to interview with a person. No need to interact with anything other than that computer. Early childhood education, low pay, high automation in curriculums and assessment. Let me just say this, and this ties back to this one I'm about to bring up: elementary education. Kids are sitting at home. We used to laugh at kids that went to home studies, homeschooling program, but here's where the laughter became real. Some of those kids that went to homeschooling programs were there, and as they went through school, they were coming out better educated than some of the kids that were sitting in those regular schools. They were graduating earlier by testing out and going to college earlier than some of those kids that was in regular curriculums. Because somebody was specialized and taught them different ways. Anyway, I got to move on. Think about this. A psychologist, bachelor level, without a master's doctorate. Job options are limited. They putting that on the computer. Go to a job and they give you they give you so much money that you can spend for psychological evaluation. And most of that stuff is on the computer. They putting it in and getting you out of there. Public administration. If you don't believe me, I say this today. Those people that got fired in government that had been there for years, they're never getting those jobs back. That's part of public administration, government, clerical, and administrative roles. They're never getting them back. Yeah, Trump made it happen earlier, but you're not getting your job back. I hope somebody telling you that, because they moved on without you. Less of a workforce. Redundant positions are gone. They're gone. You ain't gonna get them back. Hospitality and management, hotels and restaurants are automating. Check-in. Hell, you go to McDonald's, you don't even have to go to the counter no more. Go to the computer. Fill out your menu. That's what they want you to do. Sometimes you go to McDonald's, you don't even see nobody standing up there. But an old person like me that's used to knowing what that job meant, I go to the counter. I say, I don't understand none of that behind me. I probably could use it. But I understand that a person needs employment too. Same thing when you go to self-checkout in grocery lines and nothing else is open. Do you know that you're paying for your groceries? You checking them out, you sacking them up, and you taking them to your car? Oh, no. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I forgot this younger generation they ain't going there. They calling their groceries in, they ordering them, and they having them brought to their doors by computer. They never stepped in the store by a computer. See, some of this stuff is right in front of your face and you can't even see it. You can't even see it. Sports management, they're oversaturated. Hell, they doing AI analytics, and me and this guy just had a discussion about it on TV. You get on social media, any person that you want to go to, they call whatever they calling themselves. They used to be in sports, and now they own these different social media channels talking about sports. They even telling you the downside, the upside, who's doing this. The evaluation is good. So I'm just telling you that being replaced right in front of your eyes. Graphic design. That's part of what I was into. We took paper maps, turning them into digital maps. That I don't know if my people see it, but I'm gonna do a show on that too. Because if we don't change where we're going, if we don't get smarter along the way, I just got a comment from one of my coworkers, and they say a drone will deliver to your doorstep a meal. You just go in any restaurant that you go into, and you make a good point, Cheryl. I see it. You go into any restaurant that's out there, and as you listen to those people, just stand there for a minute. I know I go in Lotus all the time over here in Pearland, and I stand there and I look at all them people coming in to pick up other people's meals. And they go take them to their doorstep, Cheryl. You're right. They take them to the doorstep of your house. Do you know how many jobs you've eliminated with that? We got to move on. I'm sorry. I don't want to get journalism. AI writes news articles, summaries, sports recaps, financial reports, and newsrooms. They're shrinking. We got podcasts like I'm doing right now. We got podcasts like I'm doing right now. I'm sitting in my study doing a podcast. Just left a barbershop, came over here, and I'm doing a podcast, and I'm talking about the things that's going on in the world where you had to turn on the news on the TV to get news. Man. Another, Cheryl, you right. A meal, groceries, any other item that you want, they'll bring it to you for a price. For a price. Anyway, I got to keep moving. Film. The film industry, the movies that you go to, it ain't about the actors no more. Some of this stuff is AI. They producing whole movies, and we sit there in the movie theater, pay the same amount that we pay for them to do it all in AI. What are their cost values? They don't even have no residual values, but we allow them to do that. I'm sorry, I can't take that call right now, but we allow them to do that. That's what we do. So I just want to say, as I go through this, I'm still living life. I'm still here, and I'm looking down at my phone because I got a telephone call, and it's important because I got my grandson here, and I got to tell her that I'm on the show, and I'm still going on with life just like y'all are. Just like y'all are. So please, please, please understand one thing. Please understand one thing, that they're replacing us. And if we don't put our kids in places where they can get stronger at whatever they got to do, look around you. I'm just asking you to look around you and make a decision based on what you see. Good example. I just left a barbershop. And I sit there and I saw on the computer where they was putting these people in to get haircuts. Let me tell you about a black man. You ain't putting me in no computer and try to shave my head. You ain't gonna put me in the computer and try to shave my head. Yeah, you ain't gonna put me in the computer and try to shave my head and tell me that everything's all right. No. I like getting my hair. I like getting my face shaved up. I like getting my trim around here with a razor. I ain't trusting no machine to do that. I'm sorry. So that might be a job that you're in that you need to stay in, because all the rest of these, they may not be able to pay you. Y'all might have to start trading services, but that ain't a place that you want to be in. Let me go here, because I'm going to end this and go to the other side of this thing. GIS technician degrees, the one that I came in. This field just came into effect maybe, let me see how can I say this and be correct. Probably within the last 30 years. Within the last 30 years. And it's already going out the door. And my people may not like to hear this, but I'm going to tell them it's already gone. When software can read a deed, generate parcels, classify imagery, detect boundaries, and that technician role is dying, and it's dying. And the analyst role is evolving only to a certain point. Only to a certain point. And if you don't believe me, as GIS technicians, GIS technicians, geographical information systems. That's where you take paper maps and turn them into digital maps. Wow. That sounds like, man, that's fun. But you work yourself out of the job because it ain't no more land being created. And once the deeds and parcels are put together, and anybody can go into a computer, and I always talk about these chat GPTs where you can just ask information and get a deed or a parcel generated from the air, so to speak. What is that? We already there. Now, let me get on this other side before it gets too long. Let me see how much time I got. I got a little bit. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI isn't going away. The people who built it will control the future, your future. AI engineering, machine learning, natural language processing, computer vision. why AI can replace workers, but it can't replace the people who design and train and govern it. What that's basically telling you is that somebody has to build it. Somebody has to continue to maintain it. Somebody has to, where they're going into these communities, building these buildings. You know, if that power goes off, just like it happened to me before I came on this air, if that internet goes down, those buildings are useless. So it is going to be a source. It is going to be somebody that can go out there with an air conditioning degree and go in there, because computers don't work well in heat. They use water to refresh them. So when you hear those people talking about their water source, that means that water that ran through a cycle of cooling off the computers, and they put it right back in the same place where it came from. I'm laughing, but it's not making sense. It's some of the stuff that's going on. And here's what I want to make sure, because I was going to cover this in my other podcast I was going to do about my job. But here's the thing that I don't understand. And people are sitting there, they complaining about these computer data centers coming into their area, but you can't stop it. And here's the reason why you can't stop it, because people in government know that data center coming into that small community that's out there, even though they're protesting, is going to bring in probably 3 times the money in their taxes than the people that's complaining about it. Let that sink in for a minute. Then you can have a conversation with somebody, because putting it on the news and you only see 1 or 2 or 3 people, or you might see the people coming in there protesting about it. But that data center is going to improve that small community and bring it up where they can pay bills. Where it's struggling now. All right, I'm done. I got to move on. Cybersecurity. You need to go into cybersecurity, because cybersecurity becomes the new policy of force in the digital world. They need people to analyze and make sure that people are not hacking into their stuff. They need people that have cloud security. They need digital forensics in case something happened. Yeah, that stuff is relevant right now. But you need to know that when you go into that degree, even cybersecurity, that eventually you're going to be replaced. I'm moving. Data sciences and analytics. AI needs that. They need you to put information into a computer. They need you to create situations where there's problems. They need you to put data in there, even if it's at the elementary level of a scanner room. So if I'm telling you jobs to go into in data and science analytics and all, I'm telling you, go in those jobs right now. But it ain't no long-term, nothing long-term there. Because eventually you're going to put it all in. And when you put it all in, guess what? There ain't nothing that you can do. And what? Oh, I'm going to say that to the end. Robotics and automation engineering. AI is the brain. Robotics is the body. AI is the brain that can tell the robotics where to go dig a ditch. AI is the brain which can tell a robotic trash truck where the trash cans are and create a route that makes sense, and take it to the dump and dump it off and then start back over. AI is the brain. Robotics is the body. We got to the AI part of it, but trust me, the robotics are coming right behind it. And as the robotics change, guess what? We change. See, one thing about robotics, they don't get tired. They don't complain. They don't care how much you put in front of them. The only thing that's going to stop them is if a part wear out. See, as humans, if we bring you in and we put you on a project, you got to have insurance. You got to have a 401k plan. You got to have all of that. Anything else? And I got paying the Social Security for you and all the rest of that. Robotics don't need that. I pay one price and they sit there and they do their job and they continue to function. No complaints. They don't get in little groups around the water cooler at work. They don't take breaks together and talk about what's going on the job. They don't do none of that. While you stopping to do that, they're continue working. Here's the thing that cloud computing and developer ops. Everything is moving to the cloud. Everything. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, the development ops and engineers. Because I'm sitting here on my computer. Give you a good example. Everyday life. I'm sitting here on my computer. I'm processing the show. But I know if I don't keep my computer cool enough, it's subject to overheat. So even though I'm sweating, I got a fan, an extra external fan on my computer. Just talking to you. I don't know how to talk to people. Geospatial intelligence. The new GIS. Not GIS tech work. AI-assisted geospatial analyzations. Maybe you don't know what that is. That's above your head. But the same job that I was doing now, I just got through telling you about that they're replacing you. Geospatial AI, land rights analytics, environment modeling. You know what? I'm gonna break this down so most people can get a grasp of it. When they put stuff in the ground, like city monuments, and almost every deed reflects back to a city monument or it reflects to a point on there in a description that was there. And they can tie that back to things that was put in place almost 100 to 75 years ago when they was first building cities. That's taking you out. All right, I'm moving. Bioengineering, that's the type of job that you should go in. Health tech. AI would transfer the money, transfer the medicine. They would transfer the medicine, they would transform the medicine. They can do all of that. But humans still need to run the machines. Medical devices, AI diagnostic, bioinformatics. Why healthcare will never be fully automated? Because they have to have you in order to have healthcare. You see me laughing, but some of this stuff is funny because they say healthcare will never be fully automated. Why? They have to have something to work with. I could be wrong. Renewable engineering, solar, wind infrastructure, all exploding. The energy systems, the batteries, the technology, the grid modernization, skilled trades and tech, electricians, HVAC, welders, plumbers. But with AI tools, why can't AI can't fix your AC, rewire your house, or repair a pipe? The jobs will be the last to be automated. They're gonna be last because they're gonna need robotics. And if they don't have robotics, that job is gonna be there for a while. So make sure that you tell your kids it's okay to be a AC man. It's okay to be a welder. It's okay to be a plumber. You have a future. Supply chain and logistic technology. AI would optimize the chains, the supplies, but humans will still have to manage the system. Another field to go into. Finance, fintech, quantitative analysis. Money is becoming digital. Blockchain, algorithmic trading, financial engineering. And you say, why does that make a difference? If my money is digital, why do I need to put it in the bank? Just saying. Why do I need to put it in the bank? It's going to take down a lot of stuff. Law. You're going to have to, lawyers are going to have to get familiar with technical law. You're going to have to get familiar with AI ethics. They're going to have to understand intellectual property. Those are fields for you to go into. Education, technology, and instructional design. Teachers won't disappear. They evolve. AI-assisted learning, digital curriculum designs. Humans will still need to teach certain lessons, but humans don't. If I can get 15 robots to stand in front of a class, why would I need? How many humans will I need? I'm gonna keep moving. I got to keep moving. Environmental science and climate resilience. Climate change is the next $1 trillion industry. Why? AI can model the climate, but humans must act on it. Advanced manufacturing, 3D printing. People got 3D printers in their house, producing items that they couldn't produce before. If they had a 3D printer that could print auto parts, you just put one on one side and put the other one on the other side and regenerate it or whatever, based on what you got there. What about auto parts, auto stores? How many things will we need if we can produce them right there in our house? Creative direction, storytelling, media leadership. That's gone. Now it's gone within the next 5 to 10 years. AI governance and ethics compliant. This is a new civil rights battlefield. That's the new civil rights battlefield. AI will shape the laws, policy, hiring, housing, and justice. We need Black people in those rooms to represent us. If you don't have a seat at the table to change and instruct AI on how things should be done, we're gonna be left out again. So when it says AI will shape the laws, policies, hiring, housing, and justice, we need to be in the room when they're doing that. So that's a job that you need to go into. Let me just break this down. Degrees that lead to repetitive clerical or pattern-based work are dead in the future. Degrees that lead to decision-making, engineering, oversight, and corrective creativity will thrive. Let me bring myself back up to the screen now, because I need you to see me when I say this, because most people don't get it. This is the most important thing of everything I just got through saying. AI doesn't replace jobs. It replaces tasks. It replaces tasks that you do every day, what you call workflow. It replaces those things. And as it replaces those things, you become redundant. First, you're going to become redundant in your job, and then you're going to become fired in your job because they already got somebody in place. But if your degree leads to a job made of tasks, TASKS, I want to make sure you understand, the job disappears quickly and in a hurry. This is not about fear. This is about strategy. The message is not these degrees are bad. The message is our community cannot afford to spend 4 years accumulated debt, prepared for jobs that are not going to be there. AI and automation are already rapidly changing the work environment. I should have said it about 3 or 4 times. Education must lead to ownership, income, impact, power, not just a diploma. See how much time I got left, because I'm going to get out of here in just a minute, but I got one more thing I want to say. The wrong decision can create years of debt. The wrong decision can create years of opportunity. Let me just say, I want to back that up because I think I got it wrong. The wrong decision can create years of debt. The right decision can create years of opportunity. I got it right that time. Just to sit in your space, sit in your truth, and let's prepare our kids for the world they're actually walking into. My grandson comes on here sometimes sticking his head in the door. It's not going to be the same. That individual that I talked to today at the barbershop, it's not going to be the same for him. It's going to be different than my path that I had to take. And eventually it's going to be different for a whole lot of people looking for different type of work. And I know he's saying, man, you jumping around again. But here's what I want to say. Why wait till you get my age and realize that you don't have anything, that all your life you've been working? Now you're going to have to work till you're 100 or till you're going to work from where you at all the way to the day they put you in the coffin and never get a chance to enjoy any of it. Because the world is not set up for you to succeed. It's set up for you to fail. And it's set up for you to fail while they're doing it right in front of your face. In your face, right now. With that being said, I'm going to say thank God, thank God, thank God. And I'm glad that I had that conversation with that young man today because it told me some things about myself that I didn't know. It's having me open up my eyes to something that the dynamics of where they're going. And I swear I'm going to have to do a show on it. Because if that young man is so structured in what he believes in and he stands so strong on it, I still have to respect him. I have to respect him and what the message that he's delivering to other people. Sometimes you got to stand strong. And here's the other thing that I was taught today. People don't want to go. People of his age, they're tired of hearing us talk about the past. Does it make any sense? No. But to them, they're tired of hearing us talk about the past. They want to know what you're doing next. What's on 3 days from now? They don't want to hear what you did a day ago or people that made a sacrifice to get where you at. I don't even think they want to hear about George Floyd. That's how convinced I am that they don't care. So y'all, when you're out there making those decisions, make sure that you're helping your kids go somewhere where they can be productive. Please make sure of that. Next week when we come on, I'll put out a show ahead of time. If you want to listen, you're welcome to. And Tuesday nights, it's open forum because it's too much going on. We got a crazy redhead, a crazy blonde person in the office. They don't have no hair on top of his head, just don't know how to cut it off. Anyway, I enjoyed you. Take care. Go and have a wonderful day. I didn't even send out any morning greetings. I'm going to have to send out afternoon greetings. Y'all take care. I enjoyed it. Bye-bye.